Hi, everyone. Welcome. Sweet to see folks here in the Zoom room. Thank you for those who are um, able to be here in person, and welcome to those of you who are practicing with us later on the YouTube channel. Welcome to you. And the things I'm referring to tonight, please check the links below in the YouTube channel and description. They will be there. Hmm. So the title for tonight's talk is Morning, Noon, and Night. And this is in arose um, from an Instagram post. Surprising how many Dharma talks come from Instagram posts. There's hope. Anyways, and this is an Instagram, I suppose she's like an influencer or something like that, whatever that means, uh, named Monty Mader, Mader, must be Mader, not, yes, Monty Mader. I don't quite think that's her real name, but it could be. Apologies, Monty. Um, and I do believe she uses she, her pronouns. I didn't read anything otherwise. Um, and in her own descriptions, I'll just use her own words for her bio, but she was raised an alt-right fundamentalist conservative Christian. She's, I'm quite sure, from America. And now she teaches deconstructing fundamentalism and analyzes and points out the subjugation of women, in particular, in fundamentalist conservative Christian movements. She teaches a lot of from a historical perspective, and I think she also does Bible study, which I haven't participated in, but I think like she has these groups. She has a podcast called Flipping Tables, and yeah, interesting person for sure. So I have to credit her for citing in one of her posts, she cites Dan Savage. And Dan Savage is an author and a journalist and a very active and often quoted, well-spoken, and LGBTQ plus community activist. Um, and they've got a very prolific, he has a very prolific website. Um, yeah, lots of great teachings. So, um, those links to mm, those pages that I'm referring to are here in the chat, but also down below in the description of tonight's talk. All right. So Monty cites a quote from Dan, and I don't have the year of when he said this. I probably will, I'll try to find it. Dan is quoted as saying, during the AIDS crisis, we buried our friends in the morning. We protested in the afternoon and we danced all night. And it was the dance that kept us in the fight because it was the dance we were fighting for. So during the AIDS crisis, we buried our friends in the morning. So I'm obviously going to be taking liberties because I can't speak to what Dan was meaning from this quote. I could extrapolate, and I will, but I'm mostly adding what it inspired for me or what it touched in me, and sharing from that place. Yeah, so I love this quote because it speaks about grief and then it speaks about wise action and wise speech and compassionate action, protest, and then it speaks about joy. The What a beautiful trifecta. What a wonderful mm, balance and interrelationship, how these three ways of being support each other. So I believe we're in a time of global grief. I don't know anyone that isn't touched by grief personally and globally. We're all in a great deal of um, grief and burying our friends, literally. Certainly, as we age, that happens more and more, and more and more and more. But even the youngest of us isn't untouched by grief and loss, absolutely, and especially more so now for our younger people who are so plugged into the interweb that they know grief deeply, and they've seen such violence and such tragedy. And gosh, I saw another post of oh, this mom with her little wee toddler. How old was that little person? They're like in the car seat in the back of the car, like a little person. My God. Could barely like have all, wasn't even saying the words properly. They were saying locker instead of lockdown. Like they were just a little person talking about, the teaching, the instruction they had at school that day about lockdowns and where they were supposed to hide and how they were afraid and how they hoped their mom and dad could be there when that happens. It's just the mom was just horrified and in shock that this is a reality. Oh, I digress. To say grief, yes. And how we show up, like we bury our friends in the morning. I mean, Dan is speaking about the AIDS crisis, where the community was literally burying their friends every day. And, it may be at a different, we may be at a different, we are at a different place with the AIDS crisis, but we're certainly not at a different place with loss and violence and grief globally. And the way he talks about we and the importance of these aspects as a community and how can we come together for these important grieving and protesting and dancing or joy practices is very important to do in community in a culture that glorifies oneness, meaning singleness, that glorifies individualism. There's the word. Awesome. Thank you, brain. Um, so the culture glorifying individualism and the importance of doing these things in community. All right, so we bury our friends in the morning, and in the afternoon we protested. So they didn't just go off into their separate spaces and collapse, but they used that grief to come together and protest. And, hmm, there's a difference between nonviolent action and complete uh, denial, I guess. I'm not finding the right word right now, but wise speech and wise action of the Eightfold Path, wise effort. Compassion is an action in response to the suffering of the world. These are things that are asking us to participate, to be in peaceful protest, to mm, not just shrug our shoulders and say that's the way it is. It's not me. that we come together in community to join protests and use our privilege to speak up for those who don't have it. We bury our friends in the morning, we protested in the afternoon, and we danced all night. So beautiful to balance this deep, deep work with joy. And it may be that Dan was literally speaking about, the dance halls or the gay bars and being able to come together to dance during this AIDS crisis where they were being shut down and persecuted. Um, and I think we can also take it more liberally that dance is referring to joys. Um, I'm wearing something that was given to me recently. This little, let's see, little book. It's got skulls on it, of course, because me. But look at that little book, and it's a book. Love it. And I've been using it to just write down glimmers, little joys, little sweetnesses, little gratitudes, little noticings. It's hard. I have to use a very tiny, fine pen, but I just put a word to remind me of, and it's going to be so sweet when it's full of glimmers or of sweetnesses, joys, noticings, and it just having something physical helps me to pay attention, or just having it sitting around and remembering to look for those things. So you might find it helpful to have a little glimmer journal or joy journal, or some folks work with a gratitude journal, which is equally excellent, of course. Um, because if we don't make the effort to look for these things, they will easily go unnoticed. And it's a very important balancing factor. And as he says, it was the dance that kept us in the fight because it was the dance we were fighting for. So if we take the liberty of using the word joy or connection, a celebration, then it's the joy that kept us in the fight because it was the joy we were fighting for. It's the connection that we're fighting for. It's the celebration. It's the and that's what keeps us going and keeps us showing up to be able to fill our well, to keep on keeping on, uh, for our sake, but for all beings everywhere. Hmm. I'm gonna just see if there's more. Hmm. I don't really think so. It feels quite simple and complete to me, this to be able to grieve, to be able to protest, to come together, to speak up, to do what we can, where we can, in a time where it's easy to feel overwhelmed and like, what can I do and where, what agency do I have to make a difference? When we do this individually and collectively, we see that movements are made by individuals coming together. Each voice absolutely matters. And the importance of really turning towards and feeling and remembering and noticing the joys and the gratitudes that energize us to keep in the fight, as he phrases it. Hmm. I think that's all the inspiration that is standing out for me from this beautiful quote. So let's have a practice and turn our awareness to cultivating these qualities. Just going to have a sip of water first. All right. And I'll say now because I probably will forget at the end, but for those who are practicing with us on the YouTube channel, please check the link below as well in the description for the link to the upcoming day-long meditation retreat. And there's many other retreats that you'll find on that page um, with True North Insight. So you can read about that below. Anything else? No. All right. So taking a moment to adjust your posture, see if you need any other supports. And as we set aside our distractions, we begin to find a place for our eyes to rest, whether it's closed or just downward, or the eyes looking at something calming, beautiful, still. And then as the eyes come to rest, we feel this familiar reminder to turn our attention inward. And then feeling into the muscles of the face, noticing if there's any tension there that isn't needed right now, that could soften, ease, let go. And then feeling the muscles of the neck, throat, across the shoulders, inviting, softening, lengthening, dropping. Feel that awareness flow down the arms and relaxing the hands. If it's helpful to you, taking a few slightly deeper breaths and feeling some ease or movement or release coming in through the torso, the chest, the ribs, the back, belly. And feeling into the inner layers of the abdomen, and if some release could be felt here. As the upper body continues relaxing, softening, widening, we might feel now more weight through the hips, down the legs, and the contact of the feet with the ground. Feel the body in relationship with the earth and held, supported. And then we draw in the energy, the uprightness, a bit more of an invigorating energy within this relaxed presence. I kind of like to feel this as an energy coming up through the center of the body or the uprightness of the spine. And this is the awareness of our values, our sila, very much in relationship to this quote that we're practicing with tonight. These daily interbeing contracts that we commit to over and over again to undertake these trainings, to refrain from taking life, to refrain from causing harm. Your inner strength and uprightness to refrain from taking more than is freely offered to you. To refrain from speaking falsely and harshly, harmfully. And we undertake the trainings to refrain from causing harm through our sense doors, our sexuality and our sensuality. And lastly, to refrain from the lack of mindfulness caused by intoxicants, intoxicants in all their different forms that can cause heedlessness. So feel your inner strength of these commitments that you undertake day by day to do your best to not cause harm. This might show up in your own words or these words that I've offered of the 5 lay precepts. And then from this overall embodied, awake awareness, grounded and still energized and awake, relaxed, still, alert. You might, if it feels safe or resonant for you, just incline some tender attention to the grief that's here for you now in this moment. If this is a very tender and overwhelming time for you, you just titrate it. You just take a little drop, move towards it gently, towards the perimeter of just standing beside the grief, and then move back into feeling your body on the earth. Feel your feet on the ground, your hands in your lap. Open your eyes if you feel overwhelmed. But to whatever degree is available, turning towards the grief that is here. Maybe personal, there may be something very up close and tender for you right now. It may be community, and it may be global. And if it's helpful to you to give it a bit of a container so it doesn't fall into a lot of story about the grief, staying with the felt experience, you just might incline the heart with an intention. May I be gentle with this tender grief. May I be kind with myself and others during this difficult time. May I give tender care to this grief in myself, in my community, in our world. And feel that you are not alone in this grief. We are all united. We all experience this. And then we'll use this tender awareness of our shared suffering, our shared losses, this universal language to energize us into wise speech and wise action and compassionate action. You might reflect on ways that you've been supported or ways that you've reached out to support others, spoken up, written letters, gone to protests, signed the petitions, sent resources, shared posts, whatever way is possible for you, either that you have done or that you have an intention to do, ways that you've spoken up for people in your own personal life that are experiencing subjugation or abuse. We buried our friends in the morning. We protested in the afternoon. And perhaps there's one action that you could reflect on or have an intention towards. The next sign of need that comes my way, I'm going to do my best to respond to it in some way, to speak up about it. And now take a few slightly deeper breaths and just let that contemplation, reflection go. Gently scan the awareness down through the body again. Feel your face relax, shoulders drop, belly soften, hands relax, body grounded. And then we danced all night. Now draw in some reflections of joy or gratitude, little glimmers or sweetnesses that have happened for you recently. Could be something in nature, watching the beautiful leaves changing out our window, being with an animal companion that offers their unconditional presence with us. Could be some sweet generosity that we've received or offered. And then allow ourselves to rest in our capacity to feel all of this. We can be present with the grief, with the wise actions, and with joy. Awake awareness, spacious, boundless capacity to be in the midst of all of it. This is equanimity. Allow yourself to be restored by the energy that you feel from this reflection on joy and community, connection, glimmers of sweetness. May I be safe and well in the midst of all things. May I be peaceful in the midst of all moments. May I abide in ease and kindness. We buried our friends in the morning. We protested in the afternoon. And we danced all night. And it was the dance that kept us in the fight, because it was the dance we were fighting for. Hmm. So if you've joined us in the YouTube channel, thank you for practicing with us. Um, Again, check the links below and you know, algorithms do like comments and subscribes and things like that. It's helpful for the True North Insight channel, so we appreciate those as well. Thank you. See you again.